Hello and welcome to 1 Hour SaaS. This is update for hour number 13, unlucky for some, hopefully not for me. I am Mubashir Iqbal, everybody calls me Mubs, and I'm building a SaaS in 1 hour a day. We're building Podcast Ping, a monitoring application built for podcasters. So today I focused on finishing out the UI interface we started yesterday for adding a podcast. I added some of the missing form elements and then concentrate on the backend side. So we wanted to validate the form submission and store that away into the database. So we can kind of see here, you can kind of see that I've kind of added a couple of podcasts. And so what I did was just kind of added the save option down at the bottom here. So we can just kind of run through this. I did edit these fields to get rid of the prefix because I didn't want to assume, and added drop down for the HTTP or the HTTPS. I think it's going to be easier for people just to copy and paste their URLs in instead. So let's say we're going to start a fictitious 1 Hour SaaS podcast, and the RSS feed is going to be 1hoursas.com/podcast/RSS. And then let's just put 1 Hour SaaS here just to show that the error handling will work. And then we can just grab some... I don't have any lorem ipsum handy, so we'll go to let's just Google some lorem ipsum. Well, this is taking a lot longer than I thought. So we'll just put the 1 Hour SaaS podcast. I don't need lorem ipsum. We just want to check the RSS feed and the MP3 files and website. We don't care about SSL and those kind of things in this case. So if I hit submit here, you'll see that we get an error because that's not a valid URL, but we stored all of the criteria, the previously filled out fields. So that works. I can complete this. And so now when I submit this, everything works, and we got a new 1 Hour SaaS listing here. I haven't quite figured out what's all going to be on here. We're going to add some other actions and some statuses about the status of the podcast and the different checks that we're running. Maybe add a little spark line to kind of show uptime and stuff. But that'll come later on. And then also while I was here, I was like, well, it's very easy to turn that form that we built into something that can actually edit the podcast that we had. So if I just go to this URL, again, I haven't figured out how we're going to link to it all. But yeah, now I can edit this. And if we decide, that the podcast URL should actually be podcast, we can update that. And if I go in and edit that one again, you'll see that that's been updated as well. So that all works. I'm going to add, probably in the next hour, add some flash messaging, just so we can give the user kind of a little status update as to what happened when we updated this thing. And then I think also tomorrow I'm going to work on integrating with the iTunes API so that we can allow people to add a podcast by just by searching for it and not having to fill out that stuff manually. So what will happen in that case is when you land on this page, we're going to have I think this link will stay the same. I think we're just going to have one in here. And instead of taking you directly to the form, I think I'm going to take you to a page that has, kind of search iTunes option in there. And then you can say, well, skip that. I just want to add it manually. So we'll have a skip search, and we'll basically take you straight to this page. And then if you decide that you want to search, there'll be a field where you put the search in, you put put in the name of the podcast or something similar, and then you'll get a list of matches back from the iTunes API, and you'll hit select, and then that will create the podcast for you with these things filled out. And then we'll probably take you to the edit page that I already built. at where you can kind of select which of the checks that you want to enable. And we might, by default just enable that one because that's the one that everybody should have. And so, I think I'm going to do that tomorrow just so we can flush out the sort of add podcast bit. And then we'll probably have to loop back after that and figure out like plan limits and authorization and kind of security stuff to see who's able to add podcasts and who's not able to add podcasts and sort of that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's it for today. Let me just to give you guys some pointers. Some of the things to kind of look at. Obviously, I leaned very heavily on validations in Laravel to make sure that the things that were submitted were the things that were actually that we were expecting. I used form requests rather than just doing straight validation in the controller. I like that because you can hook the authorization right into the form request. So when we figure out what the rules are about who can and can't, kind of add podcasts and when they've got to limits and things like that, we can kind of integrate all of that stuff through a podcast policy, which is also going to be something that we'll look at. That's in the security section, I believe, and that's in the authorization. So we'll be creating policies for doing that. And then outside of that, I think that was about all that I got up to today. Just making sure we wired everything up to submit to submit back into the server and stuff. The main complication with a lot of this stuff came from the sort of check types, because these are all like stored in the database. It's not as easy as just adding the rules. You have to pull the check types from the database and add them into the rules and kind of do that. So it's kind of a dynamic check on those rather than just kind of a static list. But other than that, it was all pretty straightforward, pretty standard CRUD stuff at this point. But once we've got this done, at that point we can actually start to focus on actually monitoring the actual podcasts themselves. So I think we're making pretty good headway. So hopefully tomorrow we'll get the iTunes integration stuff done, and then we'll have the rest of the week to work on the monitoring stuff. And there's going to be lots of things I haven't even considered on that yet. But so yeah, I expect to trash the DB and start over again once we get under the hood there. But yeah, if you have any questions about any of this stuff, just let me know. But it's all pretty straightforward, I think. Thanks a lot for listening, and talk to you later.